Welcome in this task 1 writing video where in simple way I am going to help you write IELTS task 1. So I have chosen task for Cambridge 3 which is from test 3. This bar graph shows the level of participation in education and science in developing and industrialized countries in 1980 and 1990. So as you can see we are having 3 bar charts and each bar chart is talking about something different. Firstly is the average years of schooling, then scientists and technicians per thousand, and spending on research and development. So that way means these are 3 parameters or factors on which or on the basis of which the comparison of these two type of countries has been done, right? So that is the understanding part, and in analysis we can see that developing countries are lagging behind in all three areas. If we take example of average years of schooling, then over the period of 10 years these have marginally increased, but in case of industrialized countries these have increased hugely. Then if we talk about the number of scientists and technicians, we can say these things as technical workforce, and again there is marginal increment in developing countries, whereas in case of industrialized countries there is huge increment. And if we talk about investment on research and development, then in this case no doubt industrialized countries have doubled their investment, but in case of developing countries this investment has decreased, and rather it has reduced to half. So that is our analysis part, and that is the reason why industrialized countries are far ahead whereas the developing countries are lagging behind, right? So now let us have some vocabulary while writing our task. We can also use different words, like for industrialized we will use wealthy or well off or developed or haves or rich. These all are synonyms. For developing countries we can use progressing, advancing, emerging or upgrading. And for countries we can use another word called nations. So now let us first of all introduce this task. So we can say 3 bar charts depict comparison between advanced and advancing countries on the basis of 3 parameters. Now I have written semicolon and then I'm telling which are these 3 parameters. These are schooling years, count of technical workforce and investment on research and development. And then I am adding one more line. The data is represented for year 1980 and 1990. So my introduction part is over, and now let me write preview, which I have already decided is in overview. Wealthy nations remained far ahead of progressing countries in all 3 areas, whereas I'm talking about later countries and they have poorly participated. So whereas laters poorly participated in schooling and upgradation process. So my overview is also over. Now I will be explaining all these bar charts in 3 different body paragraphs. So here is my first body paragraph, and I'm putting one short sentence or topic sentence to start with education. Now if I see that it is almost 9 in case of rich countries or industrialized countries for year 1980, which has become almost 11 after 20 years. So I can put this like this: an average child went for almost 9 years in well-off nations in 1980, and this rose by 2 years after 10 years. Fine. So I have put data for rich countries and now I'm writing data for advancing countries. Now let us add whereas in 1980 a single child had schooling of 3 years. In progressing countries it is almost 3 years, and after 10 years it has marginally increased, as we can see. So let us write this line, and this marginally rose after 10 years. That way this bar has been explained, and let's move to the next bar. Now Secondly, there is scientists and technicians per thousand people. Now we will straight away we can say we can talk about number of technicians in rich countries. So secondly, industrialized nations had skilled workforce of 45 in 1980 per thousand, and this number soared means increased to 70, as we can say it is 70 after one decade, right? So it soared. And on the contrary, we are putting these numbers for developing countries. So on the contrary, there were only, now in 1980 there are 10, and in 1990 there are 15. So let's get back to the sentence. On the contrary, there were only 10 technicians per thousand in 1980 in developing nations, and this only rose by 5 in 1990. Now we are left with last bar chart, which is talking about spending on research and development, and again we will be talking about advanced countries first, and we are writing firstly the general sentence. Furthermore, investment in advancement experienced huge rise in well-off nations, and I'm putting this data first. This amount jumped from 150 billion US dollars initially to 350 billion US dollars. And now in case of progressing countries, reverse thing has happened. So I'm writing, and it was surprising to note that similar expenses declined in progressing nations. So it has declined, and I'm also writing data from 50 billion USD to only 25 billion USD. So here this task gets over, and it is getting over in 195 words, and is helping you to go through all four basic criterias, which are task response, coherence and cohesion, lexical range and accuracy, and is grammatical range. So is helping you to score very good band score, right? So that's all in this video. Bye bye, and keep liking, sharing videos, and don't forget to write your comments. It motivates me. Bye bye, we'll meet in next video.